Hello, my dear ones. It is always, 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 always a pleasure to spend time talking with you and working things out with you and helping you to understand the simplicity of health, the simplicity of life. You know, the mind has led us into the worlds of darkness. And you must understand that the mind is what we're talking about. And you are so much greater than the tools you use to express yourself within duality, or what they call creation. And we have tools. Our bodies are tools that we use to express ourselves. So everything that you sense, everything that you set up for yourself, is just simply experiencing creation at this level. There's so many tremendous levels to just creation, not let alone yourself and who you are and the beauty of who you are. But the beauty of creation, there's a lot of it. There's a lot of darkness too, but there's also a lot of beauty. And you guys are the bearers of the light, and that is what's cool. This world needs light bulbs coming on all over the place. And if you find yourself in a world of darkness where you have your loved ones, your mom and dad, or your wife or husband, or your children, it's time that you proclaim your right to exist as an individual and to experience what you want, not to be drawn or pulled away from the things you don't want. You can have relationships, but you must demand what you want out of that relationship. And I can't speak much because, relationships are tough. After years go by, it pulls you away from things. But some of you, you're tapping into this and you find the joy and you want to share it with others. And that's a natural thing. I did. Matter of fact, I think it was a little too over the top. Looking back on it, I think that I ran off a lot of my friends. I wasn't trying to be narcissistic about it. I was just so overwhelmed with the fact that it woke me up to truth, at least at the physical level, and what the physical body requires, and how simple it all was and is, how complex the mind wishes to make it. And it's just old school around here. It's just the same old thing. The mind, if you look historically, the mind is very historical. It's just the events change, the people change, but at the same time, same old thing. So if you want to improve that, you have to infuse that with a little more elevation of awareness. And of course, that's when you tap into who you are and enjoy that beauty. But never be afraid to voice your opinion around your friends, your loved ones, your parents. Who cares what they think? And I don't mean to be mean about that, but it's time for you beautiful souls to take your rightful place in creation and in life. You're created as an individual to be an individual and to express your individuality as you so choose to do that. So the Creator, can experience all the differences within itself. And it can only experience it through the individualities it has created, because it is infinite. So if you want to understand more of who you are, then you start opening up doors and expressing yourself at the greatest capacities that you have. But never be afraid, even if your loved one or your family doesn't listen to you. Who cares? You're the one, the bearer of the truth and light. Don't ever forget that. Don't feel intimidated by a medical doctor or anyone else out there, or your loved ones or your parents. You know the truth that's right for you. This level of truth is not for everyone. I'd like to think it is. But I can tell you, the journey to God is not. There is a lot of experiences a lot of these souls need to go through before they're going to be able to get to some of these levels you guys are learning to get to. And that's okay, because that's what keeps creation running. You always have your classrooms, your grades, your levels of awareness as you do in school. Everything is reflective. And so you guys are, even if you're only 16 or 14, you guys coming in here are packing some awareness that we didn't have when we came in here. And of course, if you're in the spiritual worlds, you know very much that these are the golden children. There's all kinds of names that have been attached to these children that are coming in. And it doesn't matter what name. It's simply these are higher evolved beings that are now taking on physical bodies. And helping that is tremendous because of what the future can hold. And the impact that you parents are making on your children. I can't pronounce the name correctly. One is Silver, and one is, it's spelled S-A-N-J-I, but it's pronounced J, or Sunwi. Oh, I see. Sunwi, S-O-N-J-I. Anyway, cute as a button. These two girls were raised on fruits and coconuts only. Aren't they beautiful? That's when you see these precious young ones, and you think of a world that's mad and dark, and it'll fill these poor children full of a chemotherapy that destroys life. It is regurgitating for me, and sometimes does pull me off my center a little bit, because it's very sad. But there's a long list of these children that you guys and myself and a lot of others are raising. And I commend you all for stepping up out of the social consciousness, the herd, and being an individual and picking up truth and applying it to yourself. Because you will enjoy a life far greater than those suffering around you. And we only suffer because we allow ourselves. When you're ready, and this is an old saying, of course most of you are aware of this, but when you're ready, the door will open. And this is so true. If you just step back and work more in the now, as life goes on and you watch it going on, God will have the next thing right there for you, and the remedy with it. So it's amazing how life is when you step back away from it. It's fun playing with it, but it's even more amazing when you step back away from it, because playing with freedom gives you a sense of ecstasy and joy. It's hard to believe. When you play with attachment and narcissism, it rips you apart, because what you own can be taken away. But if it doesn't matter what's taken away from you, then you're free from it all. Doesn't mean you can't have and enjoy the things of life, but it does mean that you must be detached from it. This is the big thing of Buddha, and even Jesus brought it up quite a bit. So did probably a lot of other saints and gurus, because this is part of achieving your freedom out of here. You can't have it all. You can't have this world and God consciousness and everything else with it. You can have a part of that and maintain this while you keep an element of freedom. But you can't see the God state if your attention is totally within creation. You must free your attention off of things. You know, just things. Materiality comes and goes. Birth, life, and death sets the pace for these physical worlds, and there's no getting out of them that way. But who cares? I mean, these are just bodies anyway. Boy, this Max, you young man, you are kicking butt. I don't know how many days you are now. This is going back on May 26th, and on May 26th he was 82nd day of grapes. And look at the stuff he's getting out. And he even got more out. This might be a little gross for you. This has been loosely called mucoid plaque, but this is excessive in my way of thinking. And so his small and large bowel, between the small bowel is about 22 feet long, the colon, the large intestine is about 5 feet long, so you get about 27 foot of a garden hose. And the white flour products, of course, are glue. Gluten is a glue, protein glue. And this glue, you played with paper mache in art class, I'm sure most of you have, and you know how you can build these hard objects out of white flour? We've talked about that in other videos, and that's just what it is. White flour is a glue, and when you eat a sandwich, when you use white bread and stuff, you've got, first of all, the protein-starch combination, which never goes together, never. Different digestive enzymes, I mean the opposite, base versus acid, they neutralize each other right off. So a protein-starch meal will tend to sit in your gut for hours and hours and hours while somebody's thinking about how to digest it. But all through life and all this is a lot of plaque coming out of this young man. But this is why people are sick, guys. This is why people are sick. How do you treat something like that with pharmaceuticals? How do you get rid of the trash that's building up, the sewage that's building up within you with pharmaceuticals, which only suppress the body's ability to get rid of it? I mean, this is why everybody, gets worse or dies from pharmaceuticals. Now, there are cases where pharmaceuticals have been beneficial. There's no question about it. I've had migraines before where I thought an aspirin was really good. So there's got to be a sense of balance in all of this. But when you have something out there that gives fatal events to it, you can't have it anymore. And this is what we have to rein in the FDA and these pharmaceutical companies. And you're talking about the people with the power, but the real power comes from God, guys. And as soon as someone thinks they're above that, ouch, I wouldn't want to be around. But this is really well, Max. You are kicking butt. He's going for 108, I think, days, and he is kicking butt. Grapes, and did some lemons, and then a dry fast for 5 days, I think he did. But the stuff coming out of this lad is unbelievable. And this is the sort of thing, the trash that builds within. A key word. What word might you think when you see this much? I'm going to leave this out and put it in my book down here. When you see this much plaque, and he's gotten a lot more than that, and I showed you this other gnarly looking stuff yesterday. Would the word malabsorption ring any bell to you? Yeah, you can understand why you can't absorb nutrients through the bowel wall. Mucoid plaque. This is for Chris, so he can timestamp this, although I have to sit in with Marcy on an appointment, and but that won't be for a little while. Yeah, it's amazing the kind of stuff that builds up within us. And when you read these research papers on Alzheimer's and that, and we've been talking about that, where they have all the protein build up and things, I mean, when you really realize we've been lied to, and maybe unconsciously, you can't judge that, I'm not going to judge it, but we must infuse it with truth and turn that idiocy of the protein myth around, because a lot of people are destroying their bodies by pumping proteins. And we are carbon bodies. I mean, we need amino acids, no question, but they're not number one. Chemistry is exact how it is. The only problem man has is quality of his foods and what he's done to his land. And by raising so many animals on these lands, we need to start converting all these to, more productive farms and things for the future. But man is too busy fighting right now. He's too busy in his narcissistic elitisms and things like this. And it's just, we're overeducated and under-spiritualized. And this is what it yields. People who think they know better, they want to run your lives, and this is what all this builds, socialism. So the infusion of spirituality breeds individuality, the very opposite of socialism. If you look around, God breeds individuality. Not two trees, not two blades of grass, not two snowflakes the same. Pretty mind-boggling when you think about it. So socialism isn't a part of this. This is part of the fear of the dark forces. and it pulls people in a socialistic atmosphere. So we gather in towns and communities for protection, and we hire a police force to police us and things like that. Not really to police us, but that's what ended up happening because of narcissism. So it's just that whole thing that I don't know how you would change this level and how that should be, but what's important really to us, I think, is helping people to get their health where they want it, but more importantly is that you get your health where you want it, and you get your life where you want it. Don't care about mom, dad, brothers, sisters, husbands, wives. You know, they're your love, but you are your survival, your life. You can't get away from yourself. And that's where you need to be real happy with, because I haven't met any of you that I didn't love. Okay. Hi, Shannon. Oh, this is a message. Divinity Light. Man, that was a really nice thing. This is Renee. She's talking about my pretty orange tree, that organic orange tree I showed you guys. Yeah, I had it in a house that I built across the street, and I gave it to the lady. And she said, I'm going to give it, because I didn't want to move it. It had been moved about 3 times. And I didn't want to move it again, and so I gave it to her. And she had a pool put in. She said, you can have it back. I said, oh, please. So she told the pool people, but they just came in with a bulldozer thing and just ripped it out, threw it in the woods. She tied it to the back of her SUV and pulled it down the road for me. The poor little thing was so bad. But I loved it a lot and gave it some root stimulators, and this is a pretty good idea. I've never heard of this, but I really appreciate this. She's into permaculture and has learned that dog bane planted. I'm going to be looking into that. Thank you, Renee. That, definitely, because that shows you the power of an organic tree. That baby has been through hell, moved about 3 or 4 times, and look at it, it's coming back. So, you know, I spend some time with the tree, and we have some discussions, and so it knows its karma, and it's going to go fulfill it. And I'm going to have some of the best oranges on the planet. Yeah. Woo! Would you be able to relay that message? Oh, yeah, absolutely, Renee. Thank you. And I'm going to simply put this over here so I can remember dog bane. Got so many things to remember. Now, I'm Vanessa, a 29-year-old from Milan, Italy. I've recently discovered your videos and a lot of information about the importance of raw diet. I'm writing you to ask you, what does my eyes say about my health? Uh-oh. Uh-oh, sweetheart. I don't have eyes. I don't have eyes on this one. You might have to send them back in, honey. I'm Italian, so I love, and that's a love, pasta, pizza, and all home-prepared food. Well, it's also great fungal food. I'm telling you, I can't think of, and don't take offense to this, please, but there's certain ethnic-type foods that are real bad. And of course, that's one of them. You got your proteins, you got your cheeses, you've got your white flours. Holy crap! Oh, I can't eat Italian food. It ripped me bad. But when one overcraves them, I kind of get the fungus out of me, because when you have a high fungal involvement, and you would if you loved these foods. And these are the type of foods that builds excess fungus in the body. Fungus is always going to be needed like bacterium, but excessive amounts, I'm just saying. But I know some good, we've got a Mama's Italian place down here, and it's all home cooked. It's Mama's home cooked. And she claims that she has a way to take all the acid out of the tomato stuff. And so, that stuff rips me a new one. I've always eaten dairy products like cheese and buttermilk. Oh, honey. Oh, God, man. I can't imagine your eyes. If you want to see a lymph system, I need to see your eyes because your lymph system's got to be a mess. And unfortunately, this is the thing that's discouraging because we've known on this planet for 100 years at least how bad dairy products are for you. At least 100 years, and probably go back before that. There's some even medical doctors back in the early or late 1800s, early 1900s, they were talking against proteins and dairy products. And so there's a lot of books with them. And that's why I say, look up that health research, and there's just so many books on all kinds of subjects. I am totally about getting educated, but here again, be very cautious. You're not sucked into someone else's world and belief systems. Understand truth and then gauge life from that, instead of going to the ass end of the donkey wondering what the head looks like. I never really liked fish, meat, and veggies, and I've eaten a ton of chocolate since I was a child. I'm obese now. I must lose about 70 or 80 pounds to reach my health weight. And I've been trying to detoxify since the beginning of April, eating mostly fruits and veggies. Well, that's pretty good. I'm slowly deleting from my diet processed foods, cooked foods, and gluten. But if you go on a parasitic cleanse, then I would do probably like a Parasite M, maybe a dropper full 4 times a day or something like that for, a good 2 months. And you'll get to the point where you don't like those foods anymore. Because once you start relishing the fruits, and the veggies are okay, but once you start relishing the flavors, the natural flavors, the synthetic flavors become less attractive. And the feeling that you get, of course, much, much less attractive. It doesn't feel good to feel bloaty and starchy and things like that, where when you feel light and thin and full of energy on fruits and stuff. You're not supposed to walk around with your belly preceding you. And I've fought that in my life, I've been having digestive issues, yeah. Because going back to Max's pupapa, or the mucoid plaque, you can plaque yourself up real bad there. And then you begin to see why cells are degrading. Because with this much plaque around them, and look at cancer cells. I don't know if we've got that up yet or not, but all the mucus around them, the plaque around them, you start to understand how the body works. And it's very simple. And how the body protects itself. Even if a few cells are terminated, it's still protecting itself from damaging more cells. The sake of a few for the sake of many. Okay, let me see here. The issue was then solved. Let me see. My mother always tell me that when I was an infant, I was very sick because I used to vomit every time I ate something. Well, you're lucky. You were lucky that you were born back then, because now they do the knitting procedure, whatever they call that. Bizarre. I need to go to jail because I did this to your infant procedure. The one that ties the stomach around the esophagus so they won't throw up, and then gives Botox treatments in the hiney so they can poop. That treatment. So you're lucky. Because that's exactly right. With your eyes, you want to look at the pancreatic and of course, liver, gallbladder areas. Those are your main digestive organs. Of course, cleaning the stomach out, getting that GI tract, getting this plaque out of you. Because if you've been on these type of foods, you're mucused up and plaqued up. No question. That's what it does to you. And it does it to all of us. So it's, you could get a body really plaqued up, and you had genetic weaknesses in your GI tract back then. Let's see, the issue was solved, but then it came back. Yeah, you don't solve any issue with anything other than detoxification and regeneration, and then it's a permanent cure. I didn't vomit. Let me see here. I became overweight when I was 17 and obese at 19. I didn't vomit, but had a hard time digesting almost every kind of food. I went to doctor and was diagnosed with gastroesophageal reflux disease, here we go, and gastritis from Helicobacter pylori. I just love these guys. Instead of asking yourself, why would the bacterium be in my gut? What's its job? We're going to blame the bacteria and not that diet that you were eating. That's their problem. That's the idiocy and fallacy of the whole medical thinking, is the food you're eating couldn't be the problem because these are diseases. You see how that just took that whole modality down to the darkness, into Hellville. And there's a lot of beautiful things about the medical modality, but it is scarred and darkened by fatal event pharmaceuticals and oncology and things like this, playing in fields of dreams they don't understand, being so narcissistic they're not saying, here. So if I don't know something and I have another practitioner of the healing arts, whether it's a chiropractor, I'm always sending my clients to other practitioners when they need them. I don't send them to other naturopaths, however. That is a fact. But if there was one that had a specialty I didn't have and was good at it, I would. Because that's the whole idea. We know our limitations, and we can turn to someone that has maybe more knowledge in that area. That's just a natural thing you'd want to do. Medical doctors should have been recommending us for a long time, and instead they built up their own problems. Now their insurance premiums are so high they can't hardly afford them. And that's because you've been walking down a road that hurts people and kills people. And when you walk down that road, you get a lot of blowbacks, and insurance is just one blowback. So it just goes on, that type of story, you know. Let me see. In addition to that, I was diagnosed with tendonitis and osteoscleritis on the right ear at 23. Never took any medication for that, and I'm doing deep breathings and physiotherapy to solve my lordosis. I'm a mess XD. Now, I kindly ask you, what does my eyes tell? I hope the pictures are clear enough. I've always thought that my eyes... You know what? You probably sent this in before I made that little thing about Chris and that, and I didn't mean to, because I can't get reading too much of your eyes, but I don't mind you sending them in, honey. You have to send them back in for me, and I'll go back in. Send them out, say a resubmit, and I'll go over them with that. Watching your vids, I've been wondering, what is the real color? Well, send your eyes in, we'll take a look at it. If the real color is blue, then what is covering it? If your eyes are brown, and you can see blue in places, or real light type of blue-looking color. Now, most brown eyes are light brown, so some of these dark eyes, you'll see a real light brown. That'd be a light brown eye. But if you see any type of green, yellow, well, also I'll just leave it at green or blue shining through anywhere, those are blue eyes. And you don't want to know what all that other stuff is. Well, I'll tell you what all that other stuff is. If you have blue eyes and they're brown or hazel, then you've got pizza, you've got pasta, you've got all kinds of things in there. That's chronic bowels. And that would fit with you, because if you've had that amount of digestive problems, you could very well have blue eyes and a lot of brown around the pupil. And with so much Italian food, you could have almost all brown eyes and they be blue. However, Italians traditionally have brown eyes. Well, the Portugal, it depends where you were in Portugal. I think Lisbon had more mixed or hazel, but more toward brown, where I think the north had the blue. Algarve, maybe down in near the ocean, was blue. I don't, but it depended where you were, the groups, what the colors there were. So you just have to take a look at your eye and see. So all that is acids and mucus, and it all's got to come out. And if you have blue eyes that are brown, don't get upset if it takes you a while, because that's chronic. And you can't get upset because you were put in that situation when you were brought to this planet. And it knew you were going to come through that line and eat those kind of foods. So your journey in your awakening is to become aware of the foods that are proper for the human being, and then to clean the body up. And that's not difficult. It's just changing your consciousness. And then get a hold of the fungus in the body, because it's tough. When the fungus is craving, it's hard to tell that it's the fungus and not your body. I'm sure she thinks there's a cholesterol ring there. You better hope not. Please feel free to post these images on YouTube. Vanessa, send me back your pictures. And I'm going to make note here for Chris that you're going to send in pictures. Because now you got me curious. I mean, I'm a little curious now. Oh my God, get this one. Here is a 6-month-old with polycystic kidney disease, and her dad has kidney cancer. Well, this is what we've been talking about. This is what I've been educating you guys on for a lot of years, and then, of course, before that, a lot of years. Our kidneys are major players in our field of reality here, and we've ignored those instruments of expression, and we need to fix them. Because genetically speaking, this is what's happening. It's a nightmare. The problem with this is that the adrenals are down with it. You don't have a kidney down without the adrenals down. That'd be rare. Now, look at what all can happen from these two, the gland and the organ. What can happen when they're down? And then we'll just take one side of the body. Being that the adrenal glands controls mineral metabolism, most of your mineral metabolisms will be off. Zinc, selenium, magnesium, manganese, iron, all those will be low. How about your blood sugar? Type 2, sugar metabolism, adrenal glands. Your gonadal steroids, estrogen, testosterone, aldosterones. That's your sexuality, and that goes a lot to make you feel good. You know, when a man has been whacked, he's just like a stallion that's been whacked. Goes out and pastures himself. He's lost ambition, lost his desire. So these, even though these are minor acidic steroids, they're essential to the excitement of life and that sort of thing, sexuality. And that, of course, tied into romance, emotions, beauty, love, all of those things. Those are down. Then you got your neurotransmitters. Now you got two neurotransmitter types. You got your adrenaline types and your dopamine types. So your adrenaline types are for activity, and your rest is your dopamines and acetylcholines. They're how you eliminate. So you've got neurotransmitters for action and activity, and then you've got neurotransmitters for rest and elimination. Make sense? Yeah, because you can't do it all at the same time. Focused energy. And of course, that's how God has that. So you have different neurotransmitters. They're down. So then all the things that they deal with. So looking at the neurotransmitters, elimination is eliminated. Well, a good elimination is suppressed. That's not good. Peristalsis is slowed. Kidney filtration is eliminated. So all these things start going down. Your energy, so chronic fatigue syndromes come in, and you're tired and that sort of thing. Anxieties, emotions are down. You cry at anything. Your weakness. Of course, spiritual people tend to do that anyway, because that's one gland that's down. Of course, when that's down, you tend to be more creative, because that's your creative side as well. So we can just go on and on. And there's probably a million things. Your breathing, your heart, all these things are controlled. And in some ways, your vision. So there are just so many things can be down. But the biggest one that goes down is what? Your lymph system. And as you're learning from this site, they're discovering almost yearly new parts of the lymph system they've never seen before. You've got one university over here finding things, one university over here finding things, finally finding some of the answers, excuse me, that you guys already have. It doesn't matter if we know exactly the location of them, who cares? If you want to know, I'm one of those that want to know. But it doesn't matter, because it's a sewer system. It's going to work just fine when you start eating the foods that run your body the way it should be. So the lymph system. Now, what all goes down when the lymph system goes down? Every disease that the medical doctors can come up with, at least 99.999% of them, that's what the lymph system deals with. All they see is inflammation, autoimmune, and all the crap they come up with. But they're right in one way, is these are the immune systems. This is the lymph system. And those lymphologists, in my opinion, should have learned more and done a lot more to break this evil spell of unconsciousness in the medical community in regarding of blood and lymph. And even lymphologists are ignorant about the lymph system because they still insist that the lymph is there for the blood. Yet it's about, when you're done, it's going to be 10 times bigger than the blood system, and yet it's there for the blood. I say the reverse almost. You know, it is a major, major, major system in the human body, and that's the one that goes down. So inflammation is all over the place. You start popping cysts and pimples, tumors, all these things. You start getting all the skin things because all the capillaries of the lymph can push it out. You ever pop your pimples and things? You get that little white stuff. That's the lymph system. And it goes to the skin and it goes to the kidneys. Elimination, proper elimination. Essential. So you can see that these people, this family's got some serious problems. So when you start popping cysts, that's what poly means many, and of course cysts, there's cysts, and kidneys, of course. So you've got multiple cysts on the kidney. What's going on here? And that means her kidney probably hasn't been filtering most of her life, and it isn't even filtering herself, or its own self. What would be interesting is to see the creatinine of that young person. The dad has only, you know, here's the setup. And the issue is in these genetic weaknesses, the lymph system's even more of a mess. So this is the problem. We've talked about this, and this was Jensen's big thing, that in genetic weaknesses, the lymph system is always down more because that weakness must affect the lymphatic areas as well as the blood and neural areas. It's enough to say, here's a family that's got to seriously get onto it. First of all, I would definitely, both of them, go right on a grape diet, and this is a 6-month-old. So grapes, I don't know how much coconut milk or water I'd be giving them, but I would be giving them a fruit diet. At 6 months old, she's ready for fruit anyway. And you're going to want to do that. If you're breastfeeding or you're on formulas, you want to throw the formulas as far as you can, because these are bad, 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 bad. And if you're breastfeeding, you're going to have to get off. This is my take on this, because that's not as important as fixing your baby's kidneys, because you don't want this baby to have cancer, because again, snatch, chemo, death. So you just want to really take care of your baby and the hubby too. So this is really serious stuff. I'm rescinding. This is why I keep telling you guys, please, 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 please. You know somebody like this, or somebody has a question like this, don't wait till I get to answer it. You call in this clinic now and get these people straightened around. I don't wait when it's this level of trouble, because this is serious levels of trouble. I said at the end of January, and it seems it was missed. No problem. I understand that you guys are very busy. Yeah, and that's the point, Natasha. Please, man, you've got to get it into me somehow, because I don't know, and these things get shuffled. There's some I can't even get to, and the new ones are coming in, so I'm doing my best. If you want, this is a question I'd like to ask you guys. If you want a team to start answering some of these YouTube questions, I want you to let Chris know. Let us know. Because there's a team that I feel really good about that can answer a lot of these questions for you. It would facilitate the answering of these. And they can do it in a panel or something. This has been suggested. So I'm going to ask you guys how you think about that. And so let me know. Give me a feedback on that. But if you're in trouble like these two are, you don't wait You don't wait one. You get a hold of the clinic. Oh, I hope you're doing something about this. Thank you for your comment here. I really appreciate that, Natasha. I am writing you today about some friends of mine. They have a 6-month-old girl who was recently diagnosed with polycystic disease, kidney disease. That's just this multiple disease, multiple cysts on the kidney. The adult form, though, that isn't likely to be an apparent problem till she is older. Yeah, that's medical thinking. No, it'll be a problem from here on, and probably already has been a problem in her. Matter of fact, this is where these little children get tumors and everything else, and spleens go down and everything else, and it's like bone marrow, and we don't want to do that with this little girl. Say in her 30s, perhaps. She's in trouble right now. She's in trouble right now. Medical doctor, that's a trouble. Here's a breast tumor. We'll wait and watch it. We're just going to wait and watch this. I don't wait and watch nothing. Are you kidding? Especially something like this, and you guys know exactly what the kidneys do. These medical doctors don't know. They don't have a clue. When you're having multiple cysts on your kidneys, you're not filtering. And when this little girl isn't filtering, what's backing up in her? The lymph system. And if she's on breast milk or any kind of milk, she can form tumors real easy. So this is real serious here. The only reason why she has been diagnosed so young is because ultrasounds were done due to the fact that her kidneys were echogenic in the womb. I'm telling you, you got to start thinking genetics. The reality of genetics. Take a look at Papa. And I can tell you, Mom probably has them too. We all have them to some degree or another. So really got to watch this one and help this little girl, because you don't want to listen to that medical, this won't bother until she's, are you kidding? Why is she popping cysts, which is acids on her kidney, which will start breaking the kidney? What's a child's creatinine? I would have ran to the lab and checked that. In addition, her dad, 38, only 38 years old, guys. This is why I'm telling you, when you're in your 30s, plan on kidney weakness. Don't set it in consciousness like concrete, but know you're going to go after your kidneys. And this is where the pop and the proteins ripping them. So, was just diagnosed with kidney cancer with a tumor in one kidney and is scheduled to have that kidney removed next week. I guess it's too late. No radiation or chemo are planned. He wants to go through with having it removed and has decided this is the best decision for him. Okay, doctor has said that there is a 95% chance this will cure his disease. Give me a break. Well, it depends how they remove it, to what type of lymphatic problems he's going to have on that side. Remember, each kidney drains each side lymphatically. They have watched several of your foundational type videos. Well, that's good. Discussing the lymphatic system and body in general, plus the cancer one. Well, good. His wife is looking at the whole family, possibly doing a fruit detox after the surgery. What about saving the kidney before the surgery? That's what I'm into. Let's save tissue. Let's don't let it rip out just because it has a tumor in it. Oh. They also have a 4-year-old girl. The 6-month-old is still breastfeeding. I thought so. Just had a sense of that. Baby seems to be doing great with breast milk. Not with cysts growing on the kidneys. And this is serious stuff, guys. Consider cysts like tumors. Okay? Same thing, pretty much. They're acidic. You can pop them, but they're full of acid fluid. And it'll still break down the kidneys. It still shows their kidneys are very acidic. And Mom, get a blood work up on your 6-month-old, and you want to see a creatinine level on your baby. That's what you really want to see. Because if your creatinine is up getting up to 1 or something, she's going to lose her kidneys too. So you don't want to think like they do. Let the hubby do whatever he wants, but you want to save your babies. That's all I got to say. And my own take. Sorry, stop breastfeeding, get them on fruit, and do it soon. Get them on grapes, they're the most powerful food on the planet. You can, there's so many fruit out there that's so good. My grandson was on them at 3 months old. But you got to start going to the coconut milks and things like this. And if the mother isn't 100% raw or on fruit, you definitely don't want to use the breast milk. I'm just saying, this is when you're in trouble, you got to do some of these things, guys. What would you suggest for the family in terms of a protocol? Would the 14-week protocol be necessary for the dad? It would be, not for the baby. The baby, you want to do at least, well, you could do kidney 1, lymphatic 1. And by the way, I would do endocrine gland. And I would put all 3 in an empty bottle. Put equal amounts, maybe a quarter of a drop or full, but equal amounts of each one of these formulas into one bottle. And when you give it to your baby, shake it up really, really good. Now, 6 months old is only about 3 drops, at the very most 3 drops. Drop, drop, drop. And I would do that in grape juice. You can have apple juice, grape juice. You can grind up apples and make organic apple sauce. Throw a little cinnamon in there if there's a digestive problem. Things like this. But this is a very serious, more serious than what medical doctors are telling you. Or do they know? This is your lymph system, and children are full of lymphomas. And when you treat a child with lymphoma, 97% of them die. 97% don't live and 3% die. The statistics are the other way. I hear this. This one guy told me about Chad. This one medical doctor said, I've got 65% cure rate. Do you really? Prove it. Because no one agrees with you. Matter of fact, that could be for the first year. Well, he survived the first year, barely. Hadn't been for his dad. If it had been for his mom, the baby would have been long dead. So this is just, this is hard for me to take. So that's how I would go after that. What about doing just fruit and no herbs? They live in Canada. I'd want to do some herbs on the baby, especially with the kidneys. If you didn't do any lymphatic herbs, you just did a kidney formula, and you can find kidney formulas in Canada. But use a kidney formula and an endocrine gland formula, I would. Help that little baby with their endocrine glands. That's everything to its growth and proper function. And the kidneys are everything to the lymph. I still would want to put a little lymph in there for the kidney itself. And the baby might go a little feverish and a little cold and flu. Good. Let your baby clean itself out before, bad things happen. My friend is also concerned that fruit wouldn't provide enough for the growing kids, like fats. I just showed you 2 children here, and I've got a grandson. He's wearing 5-year-old clothes, and he's only 3. I mean, the guy's just been on fruit. I mean, he's had a few other things. My son, although raised fruitarian, he'll try to get him some meat and stuff. It's just, yeah, I've got one of those kids. Aren't these beautiful children? Don't be afraid of fruit. That's what these babies are designed to eat. That's what we as grown-ups are designed to eat. And they're the most electrical and powerful fruit, if you can find the right type. And organic would be what you would want for the babies. And you can use coconut milk and things like this. There's no question about that. That's all these children have had. But we've got multiple cysts on kidneys. We've got a dad with kidney cancer. We have serious kidney problems. And knowing what system the kidneys control is frightening. Knowing that St. Jude's, the slaughterhouse St. Jude's, I mean, ask them what their, give you a certified copy of their actual survival rates of children under chemo and radiation. I think it'll take your hair off. Well, you want the baby to clean the baby up. I wouldn't even think about detoxing. I would think about just cleaning, which is detoxing, I know, but just a good diet. And just a kidney, lymphatic, and endocrine herbs, just 3 drops. And if you do that, the bottle will last. Even if you did a half a bottle, it's going to last you forever. But doing that for several months till these cysts are off the kidneys is what I would do. Or the baby's going to stop popping stones in the kidneys as well. You know, the next thing is kidney stones and then kidney tumors. I mean, it's just, oh. Yeah, they can't check the baby's urine to see if it's filtering, but they could check the baby's pH of the urine. You know, on the diaper, you could check the pH of that urine and see what the pH of the urine is. She said she can't check for the sediment in the urine, which is true. I'm guessing that she would continue with breastfeeding during detox. Nope. I wouldn't. I'm just saying. There are some times, guys, and you're not doing your baby's disfavors. You shouldn't breastfeed, in my opinion, for over a year. I mean, the medical doctors say 2, but that's not what we see, and these children have none. And my grandson had none. And my other grandson, who you saw playing Dr. Morris, he was raised exclusively fruits and salads. He now is dipping into other foods, but he does so well. And so these children are doing well on fruit diets, and smart as whips, and I don't know what to say about it. Strong. We have to take care of our kids. And you can't look to pediatricians and medical doctors for health because they don't know anything about health, guys. That's not their field. It's up to each of your mothers to explore health. Understand the species that you and your children belong to. Seek the best you can find of the foods, the fruits and the berries and the melons. Babies can have fruits, berries, and melons. And you're talking about power foods, nutritional foods. They're way too small for veggies and green drinks and things like that. These are for herbivores. Animals that grow extremely fast. Look at the difference between the growth of a human baby in 1 year and the growth of a baby cow or horse in 1 year. Considerably different by hundreds of pounds. So you have to look at that and use common sense. Common sense is awareness. If you try to go to the medical establishment for ideas of health, you might be sadly and gravely disappointed. Not their field. Never was and never will be until they come into our field. That's our field. We're trained into the sciences of chemistry and physics and foods. They're not. So they just see good old mama foods and it's okay. It's not okay. It's just not okay. In addition, how long should the rest of the family detox? Well, I don't know what to tell you. I wish I could have got Dad's kidney saved or got to Dad where he didn't have to have his kidney removed, because that doesn't fix anything. You know, having organs removed doesn't fix your life and make it all better. It compromises you even more. And because you're having surgery in a highly acidic medium, the chances of adhesion and scar tissue and all kinds of problems can exist here. And then, of course, lymphedema on that side can be very serious. So it just depends how well these tissues are hooked up here. Dad was consuming large amounts of whey protein for about 15 years. Thank you for telling me that, because I've always said, get out of that. I have a medical friend out in California, good guy, David Barrel, Dr. David Barrel. But he used to make health products for health food stores and stuff. He's a really spiritual guy. But he was into whey protein, and listen, Doc, can't do it. All right, so here's a young man that lost his kidneys because he pumped protein too much. Protein destroys the kidneys, not carbon. Protein. He has just stopped taking them, I guess. Can you please touch on bodybuilding without protein powders? Absolutely. Green drinks. Green drinks. Here's a man. Get a hold of Ian. Major bodybuilding on greens and fruit. He eats mainly fruit. He loves the taste, and so do I. There's not a lot of taste in greens. But green drinks, if you want to bodybuild with that, far superior, obviously. I wouldn't bodybuild with vegetables, because then the digestive energy loss and stuff will take out some of that power you might need to win some competitions. So you want pre-digested in a sense. You want juiced extracted. If you have the pulp in there, it's just a lot of digestive energy loss. And that's not what you need when you're competing. So you don't pump proteins, period. You don't ever do that. He wasn't into building massive muscles, but always take whey protein in conjunction with workout. You just can't do it. Protein destroys the kidneys. Remember I told you about the lady that came in to see me, it's been about 5 years ago or more, and I asked her, I said, what are you in seeing me for, honey? And she's about 65 years old, and she said, well, I'm peeing out parts of my bladder. They went in and scoped my bladder and said my bladder had deteriorated inside. And I said, well, man, what kind of chemistry did you get into? She says, well, I don't know. I've been on the Atkins diets for 5 years. And I said, that's just the one I'm talking about. Destroyed her bladder. Well, we rebuilt it for her, but still, she had hell to pay. You just can't do protein. As much as people want to believe in that, as much as people want to eat meat, you can't do it. If you want to eat dead tissue and stuff for the taste, Lord, do it once in a blue moon. Don't have it every day. And thank you, Natasha. Appreciate this and apologize gravely that you're just now getting this. Makes me sick to my stomach. That's why if you guys want to get a faster response, we can set up a panel. You'll have different people answering your questions, but there's a lot of people that get it. But that's up to you. I want to hear your feedback on it. Membranous Nephropathy. Wow, never heard of that. My partner and I are about to embark on detox. My nephew with type 1 diabetes has had wonderful success with your regimen. Oh, thanks. My partner has leaky kidneys. Wow. Proteinuria. Well, never could pronounce that correctly. And has been diagnosed with membranous neuropathy, or nephropathy. I have a low egfr. We have your kidney herb tincture, and he is on 10. Oh, yeah. I've never heard. This is not verapamil. It's ramipril per day. Any do's and don'ts before we begin? Thank you for helping people. Oh, thanks, honey. This is Rochelle. Well, I'll say this. Definitely want to fix the kidneys. And it's just that you have inflammation in the kidneys is all this is saying. But inflammation is what? Acidosis. And even though the kidneys are designed to deal with acids, it'll still destroy them if they're not up there enough. You know, the body can deal with these minor acids well. And in fact, enjoy that a little bit, like testosterone and estrogen and things like this. But when you get down into the 3 pHs and below, you're into dangerous territory. You're into, I'm going to bite and burn you territory. And it's like, oh. So you want to fix those kidneys. So a good fruit diet with berries and melons. And you could have a salad at night if you weren't after anything, you know, like tumors or things. So yeah, something like a diet like that would work. If you really want to detox well, do fruits and berries and melons all day long and a big green drink at night. That'd be perfect. Now, let's look at this other problem here. Type 1. Oh, all right, so he's getting done with that, right, I hope. And you have what? Oh, yeah. Well, you know, get into your bodies, get your kidneys cleaned up, get your adrenals up, get your livers cleaned up, get your lymph moving. All your immune factors will come right up. You know, if you want to work on your bone marrows and stuff, okay, but all your stats will come perfect when you work on your immune system. Well, working on your immune system is working on what? Oh, the lymph system. Oh, wow. And the lymph system is tied to what? Kidney and adrenal glands and skin. So definitely work on these. I don't see any do's and don'ts. Be careful with the medication, though, because you want to make sure that when you're taking a medication that it doesn't destroy the very tissue you're taking it for, or it doesn't have fatal events or other undesirable side effects, because you're not going to rebuild anything with this. This is just sort of an anti-inflammatory. So again, this is inflammation in the kidneys where you run the risk of losing the function thereof. And you got to be real careful with that. So, you know, getting rid of proteins and getting into the diets of fruits, berries, and melons and green drinks, this is all how you heal all of this. And of course, you'll get all the Like I said, all the acids out of these tissues, but this is a good, protein diets and things like this that get you. Where's my time? I've got to go in and... Now, let's see. I cannot pronounce the name here. So I'll put this under sleeping problem. Veronica. That's not Veronica, but it's Veronique. I can't pronounce the name. I apologize, my dear. Thank you for all your help. You're welcome, honey. I am a 44-year-old female, 5'8". I have had a weird habit, probably since I've been 6 years old. I would like to get rid of. Ooh, what is this? When it is time to go to bed, I lay down on the right-hand side of my body and start to rock myself by moving my entire body forward and backward. It's interesting. I even used to whisper songs while doing that. You can sometimes see kids doing sort of the same thing, sitting in their pushchair and moving their chair forward and backward. I was trying to remember. I know that it definitely helps to move the spinal fluid better. So it helps to clean out the waste in the brain better. It helps breathing better. That's for sure. Now, there is some security issues, I suppose, with that. Weak adrenals, emotions, and things like that. Let me see. I do not know why I am doing that. I just know it gives me comfort and gets me to sleep. Yeah, and I'm sure that it moves oxygen better into the brain and gets that movement of the inflammation out of the brain, so the brain will settle down. Moving the spinal fluid and learning that the spinal fluid, of course, is part of the lymph system. Not a nutritive flow, but a lymphatic flow. That it helps because, of course, it's lipid-rich, so that's helpful in acid neutralization. And, of course, getting all that inflammation out of the brain and all that can help settle it down. You might even have some neurological effect on the pineal gland doing that as well. So I don't know. It's highly probable, though, that the effect on the pineal gland is there. And probably even helping with the autonomic as it reaches back into the cerebellum. Probably all kinds of beneficial things with that, how mothers rock the baby to sleep, that sort of thing. And, of course, it definitely has to have a peaceful effect upon the CNS. And that would be with the increased activity of the lymph fluids, moving acids out quicker, hydrating quicker, oxygenating better. The problem is that it takes me longer to get to sleep. Well, I'll say look at your pineal gland. Look at your sinuses and your pineal gland. You can take a pineal glandular for a while to wake up the pineal gland. And you only need to take 1 or 2 capsules, maybe an hour or 2 before sleep. And just do it every night. Don't take melatonin or anything like that. You want to wake up your gland. And you might check your eyes and see how you look upstairs there. See if your lymph is backed up and all that sort of thing. In the past, it could take me 1 hour or more to get to sleep, and if I wake up during the night or early in the morning, it happens, I do that again. Yeah, I would definitely go into my head, detoxify my head up, get better. I would even be bold to say use upper circuit brain and nerve. Great formula, both of them. And that'll really help do the same thing you're doing with this, but even better. And then you got herbs to promote better neural functions. Then if you needed to sleep better, hit that pineal gland. But if that's the case, look at your eye pictures. And, of course, 12 o'clock. And either on the right side, you're going to be, if you're looking at the right eye, at your eye, it's going to be on the right side. If you're looking at your left eye, it's going to be at the left side at 12 o'clock. Now, with that, you're going to see a transverse colon problem if you have this problem. And you'll look right down to where the GI tract comes across that pupil, and whether you see any lacunas or you see any lesions of any type. Let's see here. I wish to stop this habit. Yeah, that's the only way I think that you're going to be able to achieve that, is by enhancing nerve function which calms nerve function. Kind of hard to explain. But the difference is, you can see, you mamas with your babies, the difference between giving your babies breast milk when you're eating a diet that's not all raw, or when you're feeding your babies Similac or some type of crappy formula that has horrible stuff, that sort of thing. You can see your babies and children restless, but a child raised on raw tends to be really quiet in the mind. Now, my grandson is from a planet where they just have had a lot of wars, and so I saw him when he came in. He's a warrior dude, so he's dealing with that, and the trouble with the fruits is it's making him stronger, and so he's here for something big. Let me see here. I have a birthmark on my right cheek, and in the eye area. It's a hyperpigmentation birthmark. That's where it gets me to thinking. Check what we're talking about up here, because pituitary, birthmarks are pretty much pituitary, so you might want to look at that pituitary gland of yours and take care of this before you start seeing other problems, like maybe even a different type of vitiligo, any type of thing like that. Restlessness too is something that, so you want to get up here and calm everything down. Well, to calm things down is to make it healthy. Energy, because believe it or not, you can be energetic but calm and be powerful, or you can be real, like this and strong. I like the old Charlene, peacefulness and power. You hungry? I get you. Let me see here. This right cheek is also very painful. Yeah, you'd want to detox, and it'll change the nature of your birthmark. I would really detox, get up in my head, upper circle, brain, and nerve, and get into my bowels, and clean my bowels, get my kidneys filtering, get my adrenals up, of course, and go into this world. Get your eye pictures. Listen, the eyes are the beauty, because now you can see what your body looks like. And when you really get used to reading them, and it's not difficult, you really have a good look at yourself and your body and what it's all about. So I would definitely pull that. And then you know what's up. And then we can help you more with that. The fact that that cheek is painful shows you that it's acidic. Well, it's a good chance that, all of your head is very acidic. And this is why you have to rock yourself to sleep. And maybe you did this unconsciously from when you were a little child. And that's just, again, when you're healthy, peace and calm resides, but peace and calm with power and strength. So it's got its good sides too. Let me see here. Either the rocking or from two of my three root canal treated teeth, which are on the right hand side of my mouth. Well, go past that and realize why on that side that you're having the root canals and the birthmarks and you're having all this. And again, you're going to find that problem in your right kidney and your right adrenal gland. And that whole side is involved. Because remember that the lymph system is systemic. Well, that brings down your pituitaries, pineals, all the other things. Because remember, you have the cells and the fluids. The fluids can bring down the cells, and does, because that's the only thing the cells depend upon for their succor, is accept the consciousness and the energy that formed them. Their birth blueprint, perhaps. Their mental birth blueprint, which is found in the causal world and the Akashic records. But notice that you're having these problems on that side, not because of them. And this is how dentists work. It's like, the root canal probably caused... No. You have to look bigger than that. What's the broad overview here? The broad overview is your lymph system's backed up through that right side at least and very acidic. Chances are it's affected your pineal, pituitary, and on and on. Your height seems to be good. But that doesn't matter. Different parts of glands can be affected. Doesn't have to affect growth hormones at all. When I am doing enemas, it sometimes brings up acute headaches, which are mainly concentrated on the right side of my head and sinus. Interesting, isn't it? Highly interesting how everything is so connected and interlocked. It sure is. And so, yeah, absolutely. And the top and front part of my head. And really, most headaches come from the stomach. So this whole GI tract is a big, big deal when it comes to the head. This is why you always go after the gut. You always go after the kidneys and adrenals. You always go after the lymph system they control. You know, these are some things you want to always go after. You always make sure your endocrine glands, since they run the show, they're healthy. So there's just some things you want healthy. I have been raw for 10 months. Ooh, good. Now at 70%. That's pretty good. I take several types of herbs for adrenals, endocrine glands. I see I am a bit less tired at times, but I do not see the explosion of energy you sometimes talk about. I thank you very much for your help. Kind regards. Okay, so this is what I do. You want to work yourself. The explosion of energy only comes when you pass that, when you get over that mountain. And the little choo-choo train has got its body to a certain point of cleanliness and health. Will that energy come in? It's not going to come roaring in till then. So you want to clean yourself out and keep going with this. I'd do a glandular on the adrenals. I'd have 2 kidney formulas. If you can afford the 14-week, I would do that. If not, do the first kit and get a good sense of where I'm at, and then try to augment that to some degree. But you want to definitely go after your lymph system, everything you're saying. But I would also think about pituitary, pineal. I would recommend a pineal glandular 1 or 2 capsules, 1 or 2 hours BS before sleep. I would also take a look at that pituitary gland, and I'd want to look at your endocrine glands a bit and fix that up. And then, my dear one, you will be in good shape. Keep working toward that, though. Keep working toward this, and it'll be interesting to find out your success with that. But I'm telling you, you're full of inflammation, and on this right side, get this fixed up before you start popping tumors on this side. That's what's real important there. I was trying to see what I'm looking at here. So I want to look at these first because you sent me some type of x-rays and stuff. I want to look at them first. Okay, let's see what this is. I was diagnosed with triple-negative breast cancer in October 2012. Who is this? This is Regina. Hi, sweetheart. Oh, you were diagnosed with triple-negative breast cancer? I never heard of triple-negative breast cancer. Oh, my God, is this something new? I was a vegetarian for 5 years prior to my diagnosis. Now, I think that it's important that be brought up, the fact that just because you're a vegetarian, that doesn't save you from anything. Not at all. It might save your kidneys better and things better than being on proteins for sure. And you will live longer, your life will be better, but, it is in the raw. The truth is in the raw, not in the vegetarianism. But it's a process that we go through. We get rid of meat, then we get rid of milk, or we get rid of this, we get rid of that, and we go down the line that way. Then we get into vegan or lacto, vegetarian, and you finally make it to the raw foodist. And then in the raw foodist, you can go up into the fruitarian levels if you want to visit that. And I suggest that for detox at least. And to have a high fruit and berry melon diet, at least have a high amount of that in your life. Now I am 70% raw vegan and eat fruit throughout the day. Smart woman. My question is, I am contemplating surgery. I feel that my tumor has grown. I am afraid that my strict eating and supplements is not working. According to the surgeon, she said that my cancer has spread and has doubled in size. I don't have a doc that oversees me. How can I check if I am healing? I really feel that those of you that are dealing with some of these cancers from the medical doctors, should have one of us practitioners, if you will, help you. Counselors, help you, counsel you through this. But I'll say this, you want to be on the herbs. You want to get on them now. Because I don't do just diet when I'm looking at tumors and stuff. No way. So I highly recommend you get on these and you get on them now. 2 kidneys, 2 lymphatics, 1 capsule, 1 liquid, at the very least. Get on our first kit and then head down that 14-week protocol, because I designed that for these type of issues. It's enough to say that a little help would help you, because you don't want to sit there and just do half of what you need to do and then have it grow and grow, and then you have to go through this anyway. No, let's go after this the proper way, sweetheart. You want to hit those kidneys and adrenal glands real hard, because they have to open the doorway for these axillary lymph nodes to open up. It's the only way. It goes right to the kidney, but it's got to open up. And these lymph nodes are right there, right there. But they have to open up. The kidneys have to filter, so you have to go after kidney filtration. That is essential, and you've just got to do that. You can pull that tumor out with a black salve. I would need the size of that tumor. If it's real big, I'd go ahead and have it removed. If it's not, I myself recommend black salve, because it'll pull that out, and it'll pull anything else with it. You don't have to worry about clear margins. But you must realize, no matter which you up for, surgery or black salve or do this the right way, you still have to do this the right way. Because if not, you'll grow a tumor back on the chest wall. Yeah, if you do a mastectomy, I've had them in here post-mastectomies with tumors grow back on the chest wall. You have to fix this kidney filtration problem no matter what you do, Regina, honey. You got to do that. So that you got to do that. So no matter what you do, but I'd like to see you get with this the right way, because you have to do it anyway. But how big is the tumor, that sort of thing? We can pull it with black salve, or you can. There's Amazon black salve there. Everybody's using that one. So it seems to be a real good one. Or if you do a lumpectomy or mastectomy, which I think the findings were in either one, they're both about the same. But highly recommend, as my First Amendment rights to make this a statement, and of course, only the insane out there believe that radiation doesn't cause cancer. Only the stupid, or I don't want to tell you the truth people, believe that radiation doesn't cause cancer, because we all know, including the government, that it does. It was the government that tried to tell the people, this is one positive thing, tell the people, the women, that these mammograms causes cancer, and just people wouldn't buy it. They do. I don't know how to say it any more than that. So you must set aside the radiation, and if you have your lump cut out or your breast removed, okay, why would you need chemo or radiation anyway? You don't need them anyway. They cause cancer. Why take rid of something and then give it back to you? I mean, this is bad stuff. Either way your choice is, I'm behind you 100%, sweetheart. But you got to fix your kidney filtration problem no matter what you do, because the rest of your body's involved, not just the breast. So you want to fix this the right way. By the way, I would start right now on a 40-day grape fast, period, end of story. Right now, Regina, 40 days. Grapes, all you can eat. Much as you want, often as you want, but nothing but the darker grapes, okay? Start today, or when you get this video, and I'll try to get Chris to get this up here, but when you get this, you start. I don't have a phone number to call you, or I'd call you. Get yourself going on this grape fast. You can't half-ass it and then expect this to go down. It's a big deal anyway, because by the time you wake up to tumors and things like this, you're in big trouble. Your lymph system has been down for years, if not from birth. So this is a big deal. This is a fluid-based system that's miles long. This is a big deal, and you want to fix this one, sweetheart. Don't mess around with this, okay? All right. Thanks for your question, and a very important one, too. That's why I'm saying if you want some help to answer these, we can get help. It is possible to completely cure, curing thyroid. Is it possible to completely cure thyroid problems, specifically hypothyroid, through diet and herbs? Well, absolutely. Absolutely. Matter of fact, I'm going to use the word cure because it's a great word. And just because the word cure, we use it, it doesn't mean you're curing diseases. We're curing your problems. Whatever word you want to associate it. If the medical doctors want to use diseases, you use the word. But you're not going to own cure because you don't cure. You can't have the word cure. And we're going to have to take it away from you. And you'll see. But you can't use the word cure. That's our word. We don't cure diseases. Nobody cures diseases because they don't exist. The fabrication of the medical mind. When you understand the truth, then you're empowered to know what causes things and you can fix them right and left. But when you have tumors in you, you're advanced in your lymph system. In its lack of filtration, you got to get up with this. So Regina, I need 40-day grape fast now. Okay? It is possible to completely cure thyroid problems, specifically, you betcha. But what causes it? Wait a minute. You got to understand what causes it before you can ask me that question, right? So here's the thyroid, all right? Here's the thyroid. You got a couple of lobes there. So you got a thyroid actually on each side of the body, don't you? Now, what's a thyroid made of? Oh, cells, right? Absolutely. Your whole thyroid gland is made of cells. Now, what is in your thyroid around the cells? Well, you have spaces around the cells in your thyroid gland. And these spaces are called interstitial spaces. They just happen to be around all the cells, no matter where they are. You have to have spaces because what must occupy these spaces? Fluids, right? And what are the two main interstitial fluids? Blood and lymph, right? Less blood than lymph, predominantly lymph. And that interstitial fluid is filtered through the capillaries then, lymph going to the lymph and blood going to the blood. Blood capillaries are so small, they only allow very small fragments of things to be reabsorbed. For the most part, not much. The blood cannot afford to reabsorb acids, even though the medical doctors think that. The body cannot afford to do that and stay alive. Understand chemistry more. But you have a lymph system that's totally designed for that purpose. See? And so that becomes the issue. So now, wait a minute. You've got blood, nerve, and lymph tissues in with the tissues that create the thyroid function, the thyroid itself. So when the thyroid goes down, what's making it go down? Now, we can stop right here and say there's a pituitary sitting on top here that controls that thyroid. And this pituitary is the main gland of the human body. I call it the CEO of the corporation of the human body. It controls the thyroid through the production of TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. That then turns on the production of T3, which is then converted to T4 thyroxine. Now, different foods causes mucus to build up in the body. That's apparent because everybody's got it. And mucus is from the lymph system, the mucosa, and it's a protective lipid. But certain proteins, and particularly dairy proteins, are extremely mucosic responsive, causing tons of mucus. So then we get it in our voice box, we get it in our sinuses, we get it in our lungs, our bronchi, our thyroid. Can I keep on going? Look at all the stuff people are pulling out of them. Look at all the mucus people are pulling out of them. Our thyroid gets full of it, our parathyroids get full of it, our pituitary and sinuses become full of it, our pineal gland, our bowels get rancid with it. Then it starts to augment our bowels. It weakens and pockets it, sucks the calcium out. Then we get pocketed, prolapsed, or spastic bowels. Then that neurologically resonates and starts pulling down on other systems too, because neurologically your bowels is an electrical board, a controlling board, like you have in a recording studio. So everything affects another. So you want to fix a hypothyroidism, you have to first get into your body and clean it up and get it healthy. That's number one. The tools we can use to help you with that while you're in those hypo areas is glandulars. You can use berries like saw palmetto berry and things like this for the thyroid, but minimal help that gives when you're having a thyroid highly inflamed. And remember, a lot of thyroids have what? Nodules in them. Where do these nodules come from? What system does nodules come from? Well, you only have two to talk about, don't you? Blood or lymph. So we know they're the lymph system. So it's the lymph system that makes everything go down, and even hyper. Blood just transportation of nutrients, or some gnarly chemistry for sure. But it's your lymph system that has to clean up the mess and do it. So when you have a hypo anything or a hyper anything, you go right after your lymph system, the system that's totally involved in this. Then you could use a thyroid 150 milligram glandular from New Zealand. I would only use one bottle, and I would maybe use one 3 times a day or one twice a day. If you're on a levothyroxine, Synthroid, or something like that, which is synthetic T3, you might want to learn how to titrate, because if you get the thyroid going too much, your heart rate will go up, and then you'll start getting tachycardia, because your thyroid controls heart rate. Hence the rate of metabolism. But your heart rate can be kicked up if you're so full of congestion in your lungs and mucus where your O2 saturation is low. Your thyroid is going to kick up your heart rate to oxygen to help you oxygenate your body even better. So your heart rate can be close up to 80s, 90s, maybe even 100, and that's a body doing it for your safety. You have to understand and look at all these things in the human body and what the body's doing for survival of the cell. The survival of the cell is survival of the whole entity. So you go after the thyroid just like you would go after any and all other tissue in the body. And I'm going to have to go and meet with this. But that's how I would go after it. I'd go right like I was going after my lymph system, kidneys, adrenals. Pop your thyroid up if you have to a little bit. If you do that with a glandular, they work real well. Medical doctors should be using glandulars. You don't have to wreck thyroids and adrenal glands by giving hormones and steroids. You can simply give glandulars. But you want to make sure that it's the thyroid. If you're going to take the thyroid glandular, and it's not your pituitary that's the problem. See, so you want to look at your pituitary. Your eyes will give it away, but also your blood work and TSHs and things like this can give it away too. Oh, I've got so many things to cover and so little time. But appreciate all feedback. I love you all, and thank you so much. And I have some beautiful shirts over there. Let's see. You guys want me to wear a color? I will start wearing these shirts. I love you. Thanks for the shirts. Appreciate that. I love you all very, very much. I thank you so much. Go after your health. Go after your strength. Get rid of your weaknesses and enjoy your lovely stay on planet Earth as much as you can. But realize that you are all magnificent beings of light and beauty. Give that out to the world. Show the world how beautiful you are and how you have a loving hand to help people in their suffering because you know truth. Love y'all.